Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Welcome. And nice to be here in Bulgaria. Sofia is my first time, but I already feel at home. It really reminds me of my home country. So I don't want to bore you too much today. I know there's lunch coming. I just need to figure out how to change the slides. There you go. And I just want to start with the fact that I'm very excited because we look at DeFi today and we observe that we started to build a banking system of the future. So we actually see a lot of things in DeFi that enable us to build things that have been built in TradFi before, but with a twist. So there is so much happening, and I'm excited to be in the first innings, just like you, of DeFi building a new financial system of the world. So let's first look at what really works on blockchain. Like, you know, because we have also sorts of different applications of blockchain, our NFTs and this and that. But what really works, like why do people actually come to blockchain? And what sort of things work sustainably, reliably, and, you know, predictably, you know, so the NFTs don't count. So first of all, I would say the first thing is our DEXs. So the way for us to transact, to swap currencies, and, you know, some people have issue if I say equities as well. So this is very well understood, very well tested. It's, you know, we've been using it. It's a foundation of DeFi. The next thing, our credit markets. The credit markets really do provide the lifeblood of the system. They enable us to do things way beyond simple speculation on tokens. You know, token go up, token go down. With credit markets, we enable so many more products in DeFi. So I would say that those two make our banking infrastructure, and everything else is built on top of that. So if we look at the traditional finance, we see very similar products, right? We have our fixed income, these are our bonds, our term deposits. We have margin trading, we have insurance, and this is something that in DeFi we haven't really tackled yet. Of course, we have products, there's many attempts to do insurance, but those products are not meant really to work on their own, just like derivatives. And I speak that as a part of the team that built one of the most sophisticated interest rate swaps in DeFi. And the product that is so sophisticated that it's just impossible to use almost. So we noticed that people use it for like directional trading and speculation, but it was intended as a part to be used as a part of structured products. So I think this is the gap really, that the TradFi nailed is bringing everything together. And in DeFi, right now, we're very separated. So we do our DEXs, we do our credit, and it's not often that we see things brought together. And this is what I'll talk about. So let's look at what sort of advantages DeFi has as compared to TradFi. The things that TradFi won't do, or doesn't want to do, or can do. I would say there's two, and these are my opinion. Happy to discuss this after the presentation. The first one is transparency. So this is something that in TradFi is very rare and often leads to a lot of issues. If you remember, can I see show of hands who know what LIBOR is? LIBOR. You see not many, but LIBOR, yeah, thank you. So the LIBOR as an index it really defines the cost of your mortgage. It's extremely, or used to, it is extremely important index. It's the index that the banks would say, oh, this is the price at which we borrow money to each other. And it affects so many other things. But we observe the banks collude, and they would, you know, modify the LIBOR, and they make shit tons of money on derivatives. So the transparency has always been a problem of TradFi. But in DeFi, we have a superpower. We can do everything transparently and we don't need to trust each other. The other thing is simplicity. And for those who sit here and are developers, just use imagination. How much resources would you need to build a bank from scratch in TradFi? This is hundreds of developers and multi-years of development. In DeFi, we can do it, depending on how complex you want to go, maybe in weeks, days, months, but much, much quicker. So those superpowers, we have in DeFi. So why would we hurt ourselves and try to replicate all the mistakes of TradFi, meaning be more obscure and more complex? So let's use the composability and let's use the transparency in DeFi. So now I want to transition to asset management, because really, let's face it, most people that come to DeFi, they want yield. They're not coming because there is a new fancy product that can do things that no other product has done before. Majority of users, they come because they want to make some money. Therefore, we see an advent of asset management products. So these are your Vedas, your IPOR Fusion, your Yearn. There is quite a few. And I would say that there is a scale how they work. Like, we could draw this scale, going from, I like to call it trust me bro, to on-chain orthodox. So trust me bro. So I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there are actually people, they have wallets, and other people transfer money to their wallets, and there is a spreadsheet online that says how much money everybody has. I swear, their strategies like that. And they have a lot of advantages, don't make no mistake. But this is a trust me bro kind of end of the scale. And then you have on-chain orthodox, where everything is hard-coded. Okay, so I would say majority of the asset management, they kind of fall on the spectrum from trust me bro to on-chain orthodox. So for example, your Veda, that's kind of, I would say that's way left to this chart, because it's not very transparent what can be done on the strategy. You have to trust your validators. And then on the other end, you have Yearn, where everything is transparent. The transaction, like, when you deposit assets, you know exactly what's going to happen. You harvest. So when you look at the disadvantages of both Trust Me Bro and on-chain orthodox, you will see that when you have Trust Me Bro approach, you're very quick to react, because it's an EOA, so you can do whatever, whenever, okay? But then there's several problems. They're mainly related to human factor. You can get, you can get your keys leaked, or, I mean, your guy may run if there is enough money to justify that. But most of all, there is a regulatory compliance issue. So if you're an institution, you cannot work this way. Or you can do it yourself, but you need a license for that, because you always take custody of the funds of your customers. And I know we actually work with several organizations now. They actually work this way. They work in a Trust Me Bro, because they're custodian and they're fiduciary of the funds, and they have the necessary licenses. But if we want to democratize it, not everybody can be regulated. But so many people, we notice, want to become asset managers, and they're not banks, they're not brokers. What are the disadvantages of on-chain orthodoxy? Because there is a couple disadvantages as well. Your structure is rigid, so your response to change in the market is very long, or sometimes impossible. So if you change your strategy, your customers need to migrate your funds, need to migrate their funds. And I would say that they're limited to certain simple strategies, maybe credit allocation, or maybe compounding rewards. So if we ask ourselves what sort of good things we want, we probably, would like to have transparency, so it's easy to audit and it's permissionless. We need non-custodial approach. So you as an asset manager, if you want to run asset management for your customers or maybe for open public, you don't need a license for that. You want flexible approach, obviously. I mean, this is coming from Trust Me Bro, but you want it to have it in the on-chain fashion. You want to protect your IP, and this is very important because if you on-chain orthodox, your IP is out there on-chain. Everything is transparent, so everybody knows how you run your strategy. In Trust Me Bro, nobody does that. Nobody knows how you run your strategy. So there is you protect your IP this way, so I didn't mention that, but this is important, we want that. And you're also very efficient, so you don't spend much gas and you don't run transactions that are not necessary. So in other words, we want it all. And this is why I'd like to introduce Fusion. So Fusion is an asset management platform where, well, how it works, right? So it was built by us to essentially alleviate the problem that we had with asset management in our previous platform, where it was very rigid, very hard to change. So we decided to go all in to make it as flexible as humanly possible, yet running on chain. So I would venture to say that anything that you can do with your EOA, you can do with Fusion. So some of the examples of the strategies that currently run on Fusion, and some of them are operated by IPOR Labs, some of them are operated by our partners. I'll show you some of them later on. We do, for example, credit market allocation. So I just want to preface this. IPOR Fusion is meant for automation first. So all the vaults are meant to be automated. So we have one manual vault the customer insisted on. Everything else that you will see is automated. It's all running on autopilot. So we do credit market allocation. So we have automation that deposit assets to the vault, and the vault will spread those assets into multiple credit markets, searching best yield. It knows its own impact on the market. It can look at the trends. It's impossible to outperform that allocation manually. It's impossible. I wage money on this. We also do leverage looping with staking, with tokens, Morpho, Aave, Euler. We also have with our partner do DEX liquidity and ranges. And so this is not us, but ClearStar, if you're familiar with that asset manager, they do that on Fusion. Rate arbitrage is another interesting case, and this is just a sum of examples. So you can take your Bitcoin, you can deposit that on the credit market, you borrow against that, and then you have US dollars tax-free because you haven't sold them. You only pay interest, which is your write-off, and then you can use that to get 20, 30 sometimes % yield annualized. Impossible to do with just Bitcoin, but possible if you use Bitcoin as a collateral. And this is running, protecting you from liquidation and so on. So how does the vault work, or how does the IPOR Fusion work? So in the middle you have this vault. It's the ERC4626 vault. It's a very standard interface. So the liquidity providers provide liquidity into that vault. And then from this point onward, it can be controlled by an array of people that have certain access rights to that vault. And I'll show you a little bit how that works. But so two main roles are the atomists. So the atomists, think about it as administrator of the vault. They decide what can be done. They decide what the boundaries are. And that's all on chain. And then you have the alpha, and the alpha controls the execution of the strategy. So this is when and how. And those are off chain. This is your IP. So when you come and you build your own vault, they are permissionless. You can build your own vault. You can run your own alpha. We can help you, but you can also do it yourself. You decide what the structure is, and then this is what your customers see. But when you execute, how do you optimize for gas? How do you analyze the trends? That's your IP, and you can totally do that without anybody stealing it from you. So the vault then connects to external markets, and this is done through fuses. Okay, so fuses are, think, connectors. They're very small, stateless contracts that can be shared by multiple vaults. So when there is an integration for, say, Morpho used by 1 vault, all of a sudden all vaults can use it. There is no cross-pollination. You can use it for borrowed positions, and there is no combining of multiple credit positions of multiple vaults. Everybody has their own silo, but the fuse allows you to connect to the market. Now, this approach allows us to build automation and deliver the strategy in a matter of hours. You know, we started maybe, first of all, we took maybe 3 weeks to automate. Now it takes us maybe a couple hours for each strategy, and it's mainly because of testing. And we have couple partners that they build their own alpha, and we provide SDK for that and tooling, and right now we're building also CLI. So if you're a developer and you want to run those strategies, help the asset managers, please approach me. You can talk afterwards. So some of the vaults we're running, and this is a screenshot I took last night. And so does actually the actual APRs and some of the partners we have. ClearStar runs their own automation. Tankan runs their own automation. So some of them, they do it for special, like their own niches. All right. So if you look at there's a sneak peek at the administrative panel. So this is actually a page where you can see all the access management. So it's quite granular. So what you can do can be very granularly set. So then your automation will have access just to a certain subset of your vault, like for example, allocation. But often what we also do, we give a right to manage rewards. Sometimes we also give it rights to manage fees. Because in some cases, the fees, like the withdrawal fee or deposit fee for the looping positions, are dependent on the markets that we go to, because sometimes there's a cost to build a position. So we also allow that for the alpha to do. So the access management, and I want to stop at that for a second, is built really with the assumption that different parties that control the same vault, like the alpha and the atomist, they're at odds with each other a little bit, because we assumed that the management of the vault, the alpha role, will be outsourced. Because what we see very often is the assets managers, they don't have very deep knowledge of coding or running those strategies. They're very good at writing Python scripts and doing all the quant analytics, but they're not very good at executing the code. Like they can click, and I'm talking like organizations with hundreds of millions of dollars. They can click, but they cannot write their own scripts. They have no capacity to do that. So the Fusion allows you to outsource that and making sure that whoever does the automation will not screw up your strategy. It's not legal to do, to handle tokens that you haven't whitelisted. And again, I don't want to keep you too long. The lunch is coming. So some of the things that you may want to check out is the website. We also have quite extensive documentation. There's the SDK that we provide on GitHub it's a Python SDK, so if you're a quant, you can already start using Fusion. That's the link to the SDK is also in the documentation. And I would like to invite you all to the workshop tomorrow at 10. We have a little bit more time, and if you have any questions, we can, we'll spin the vault. I'll show you how to configure it, how to build your own connectors. And answer all your questions you might have. So if you're asset manager or you're a developer and you want to work with this toolbox, approach me afterwards. So thank you very much, and have a good lunch.